Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the live webinar on Budget Healthcare Outlook 2026, India's Health Agenda, Optics or Outcomes. We have an expert panel joined us to evening talking about the Union Budget 2026. Let me quickly introduce my esteemed panelists who have come to crunch the numbers and see how it has worked out for us, this budget. We have Mr. Sudarshan Jain, Secretary General, Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance. Thanks a lot, Mr. Jain, for joining in. We have Dr. Harsh Mahajan, Chair, FICCI Health Services Committee, Founder and Chairman, Mahajan Imaging and Labs. Thanks a lot, Dr. Mahajan, coming in. We have Mr. Vivek Kumar Goyal, Group CFO, Fortis Healthcare. Thanks a lot, Mr. Goyal, for joining in. Have Mr. Rajiv Nath, Forum Coordinator, AINT, and Managing Director, Hindustan Syringes and Medical Devices Limited. Thanks a lot, Mr. Rajiv, for joining. And we have Mr. Joy Deep Ghosh, Partner and Industry Leader, Life Sciences and Healthcare, Deloitte South Asia. Thanks a lot, Mr. Joy, for joining. And we have amongst us Mr. Vikas Dandekar, Editor, ET Pharma and ETHealthworld, the Economic Times Group, who will be moderating the session, and I'm Pratibha, Senior Assistant Editor, the co-moderator of the session. But I will ask the first question and then only I'll let my editor to speak. So let me ask the first question. What is your immediate reaction on the healthcare allocations in the Union Budget 26-27? The budget has crossed a milestone with healthcare allocation exceeding rupees 1 lakh crore for the first time. Correct me if I'm wrong, marking an 8.96% increase over the revised estimates of the previous financial year. But yet, public health spending remains below 2% of GDP, falling short of the 2.5% target set under the National Health Policy. So, do you see this budget a meaningful step forward for the sector? Let me go to Mr. Jain first. But all of the panelists are looking, they're smiling. I think they're very happy with it. Let us go to that. Mr. Jain.
So thank you very much, Pratibha, and thank you, Vikas. And we have got the advantage of excellent panel here, right from Dr. Mahajan, Vekwal, Rajiv, a very good friend, and Jaideep. So we get a very broad view. As per me, given the word volatile situation, it is very, very important to keep the financial discipline as far as the overall economy is concerned. So I will not go exactly whether it is 2% or 2.5% healthcare budget. But overall, we are containing the deficit 4.3%. We are containing debt to GDP ratio 55%. And we are also providing trust to the right sectors to get going forward. We are creating a foundation for the future. And the way I look at the budget, this budget aims on focusing on the sunrise sectors like biopharma, which is very, very important. It aims to strengthen the reform system, which is trust on CDSCO restructuring and focus on CDSCO. It aims on skilling because a lot of work which is being done, and as per me, India can be the healthcare custodian of the world because we are not only pharma capital of the world, we are doctors capital of the world, we are nursing capital of the world. And how do we take advantage of the skill base of this country? And lastly, very, very important, some of the drugs, there is custom duty exemption. So I will say, given the situation what we are, it is a great movement forward. It is a movement forward to realize our vision for the future. And I'm particularly happy with the CDSCO strengthening the overall thing. It will take time, 3 to 5 years time once we start. But if regulatory framework gets strengthened, it will help to move forward the agenda. I will stop here. And
thank you, Mr. Jain. Let me quickly go to Dr. Harsh Mahajan. Sir, your views.
I think the Honorable Finance Minister really concentrated on healthcare. I don't think any other sector was mentioned as many times as healthcare was. And some new initiatives. Of course, Mr. Jain has talked about, what she called as Biopharma Shakti. And that will be very useful. And of course, we have people here who can, who know better about it. Then there was also the move to training and skilling of allied healthcare professionals, for which, multiple training centers, both in the private and the government sector, will be set up. And then, so this will lead to allied healthcare workforce strengthening, nearly a lakh of them. She focused on geriatric
Yes.
caregiver ecosystem and developing that. We have, as you know, we may be a young country, but we have a lot of the elderly, and that number is only going to increase. And then also on, the NIPERs, which are to be set up, CDSCO has been mentioned, focus on Ayush and traditional medicine, and somehow through the MVT scheme, the medical value travel, setting up 5 new centers, and we can talk about that in greater
Yeah.
detail as we go along, and making them more holistic. So then also, trauma and cancer in district hospitals, and 17 more drugs, cancer drugs, brought into zero duty, and also 7 rare diseases where, patients can import them duty free, both drugs as well as specialized foods. So all in all, I think, it's a budget of continuity. It is working on what has been done in the past. The policy remains consistent, and ultimate goal is to have both the healthcare providers, the medtech industry, as well as the pharma industry move in unison to achieve our goal of universal healthcare.
Okay. Let me go to Mr. Rajiv here. Then I'll go to the financial experts. Rajiv, sir, your pointers quickly.
Well, I would say that of the many budgets I've listened to, this one was definitely, I would say, the most structured, cleverly and intelligently designed, uh, touching various aspects and various sectors in a very equitable manner, very well micromanaged as far as our sectors goes. Definitely, it's building on manufacturing capacities and capabilities. A big focus on that. A big focus on the reforms. Uh, just a couple of months back, Mr. Jain and myself were making presentations to the GOBA committee at Niti Aayog. And these are the kind of things which we were seeking over there. It's so nice to see the government being so proactively working and announcing these action points, whether on quality control orders or on deregulations, reducing the compliance burden, making manufacturing more attractive, making MSME more profitable, addressing the biggest issue for MSME normally is the working capital. So addressing their needs in terms of having access to working capital, getting paid on time, both in the private sector or in the public, making the invoicing available to them. And of course, the biggest for all of us was the big boom 10,000 crore rupee allocation for the Biofarm, Bioshakti clusters, which we hope will also be translating to the whole life sciences sector, including medical devices, because bioness and biomedical devices have always been some part of it in the past. Uh, let's look at the fine print going forward, but
Yes.
definitely it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, right direction there. Let me go to Mr. Goyal, the CFO of Fortis, from the hospital segments. How do you see this?
Yeah, Pratyeva, I will say, first of all, I agree with all the other panelists that it is a very balanced budget. And as to your initial question about allocation on the healthcare, I think the way Finance Minister has allocated budget to different sectors, and specifically, like Dr. Mahajan has mentioned, there are a lot of mention about healthcare. And healthcare is not only considered like a social measure, now it is a part of growth and innovation for the country, and there are a lot of focus on the skill development and as well as on the medical tourism. So that is another big area which potential area for growth for healthcare, which there was a lot of focus looking like, and it is a continuous focus of the government, and I feel we will be benefiting from that. Apart from the bringing the manufacturing into the country by through this biopharma Shakti initiative, which is big initiative I will say, and it will reap the benefit over a period of time. So overall, it is a very balanced budget and good for healthcare industry.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Goyal. Let me go to Mr. Joydeep. You are the person who can give us more details in the numbers. How do you see it's a budget of continuity, skilling is focused? What is your views?
Yes, thanks very much for inviting me to this panel. First of all, to back to your original question of whether the allocation, central allocation has come down, you have to also understand that health is a state subject mainly, isn't it? So if you want to look at total health expenditure, you need to not only look at the allocation made by the central budget, which may be appearing less than 2.5%, but if you add all the state budgets, probably it's more. Maybe we have still not crossed the the initial estimated overall 2.5% and 3.8%. But the fact remains that a lot of focus has been given on the healthcare, as all the other eminent panelists have already mentioned. But really, what Dr. Mahajan also said is very heartening to note that the Honorable FM has given a lot of attention to pharma and healthcare and covered in all the three kartavyas, not only one, but all the three kartavyas. It's only not only developing the biopharma hub, biopharma Shakti of 10,000 crore with three new NIPERs and upgrading the others existing ones. And also, more importantly, 1,000 plus accredited Indian clinical trial sites, and we have a serious issue there. I'll mention one more point, which you will understand why this is so critical. Maybe it was not spelled out in so many ways. The focus on biopharma and biosimilar is not only important from a conquering the shifting disease burden, the disease burden incidence and the availability and affordability of new age therapies have shifted quite a bit, and which remains difficult to access on the one hand, particularly for the Indian patient. But it's also vital to capture the large patent cliffs coming up in the next 4 years in the international markets. Those of us who track it, you will know that many of them are, in the nature of monoclonal antibodies. And if you also look at the 17 which have been classified, the first one on the list is pembrolizumab, Keytruda, which is one of the highest selling drugs in India, and again, biologic drug. So there are also small molecules, inhibitors, and things like that. But areas which are big blockbusters going off patent, and India has a big advantage of being able to should reap the big advantage of being being the biopharma biosimilar hub in this country. So far, we have the success which we achieved in small molecules still eludes us to some extent. The other geopolitical movements, if you look at, we may get an edge over our competitors, particularly in the biopharma, with not only with the government push, but also availability of STEM graduates. In addition, US Biosecure Act, we cannot, you have to think through all of this in unison. And then you see that the focus on biopharma and biosimilar is going to be important from domestic perspective, export perspective, global perspective in positioning our market. It's also a soft diplomatic power. You've seen what happened during Vaccine Maitri. So all in all, it's a very heartening budget, not only in the form of healthcare, which already people have talked about, the 1.5 lakh people getting more trained and 5 regional hubs, and very important focus on mental health. This came out in the economic survey as well, a couple of days back, about the focus on mental health and digital hazards of overusage of digital technology, all of those things. So this is a very well thought through budget. However, there are still some areas we would have wanted, like more incentives to R&D, pharma R&D, where the investment levels still lag very much below the global averages, which is necessary to propel our growth, particularly in the more complex therapeutic areas like cell and gene, CAR-T, so on and so forth. And also another point which I would like to mention is that maybe, yeah, getting the scientific cadre for the CDSCO is a very welcome step. But rationalizing multiple regulatory agencies, that could have been, one would have hoped that would happen. Maybe the fine print is still too early to see the fine print. Maybe that would happen in the future, and that would also help, making this industry much more agile and much more in tune with capturing its global position. I'll just finish by adding one more thing. In the last 15, 20 years, we have always come up with the same narrative. We are number 3 or number 4 in terms of volume, or number 13 or number 14. It's time we change this. It's really time we change this. And I believe this budget, the allocations you have made, the focus on clinical trials, focus on biopharma, biosimilars, the therapies of the future, all stand in good stead to take the industry towards that end.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Joydeep. Let me bring Vikas sir. You have some pertinent questions and lot of
Yeah.
work for us. The FM has given, sir, and we are
Yes.
desperate. So over to you.
Absolutely. What a crazy day. At the start, she spoke about biopharma and biosimilars. I never had heard her speak on biosimilars before, and quite a few words that I actually captured: wellness, Ayush, innovation, biopharma, medical tourism, rare disease, cancer, diabetes, geriatric, yoga, I mean, NIPER, clinical trials, and so on. So I think our industry probably had the right boost from the FM, which probably they were expecting for a very long time. So one word which was missing, probably I'll go to Mr. Rajiv Nath. On medical devices, sir, we actually thought that there will be something coming, especially because there was a mention about medical devices as a global hub in the economic survey also. Your thoughts on that?
Thank you, Vikas ji. Yes, so even my ears were waiting to hear that word. But our problem in life has been that even though medical device came on the first four list of sunrise sector way back in 2014, pharma was brought in and we were again put back under pharma when the list was brought on to 10. And that's been the issue time and again that for many parts of the government, medical device is treated as a subsector of pharma. We've been seeking a separate identity, but or we've been seeking it to be all called under the category of medical products. So medical products will cover Ayush, homeopathy, devices, drugs, biosimilars, biotechnology, everything, even vaccines for that matter. So that's a broader category which is used by WHO. So be it, but at least we start from somewhere, and we do appreciate that the big focus has now come on making it value driven, not volume driven. This was all music to our ears.
Absolutely. Right. So the next one will have to be to Jain Saab, sir. I think a lot of your efforts have actually seen some productive time today. You've been actually looking at regulatory overhaul in terms of accelerated approval timelines. There's a mention of accredited clinical trial sites, 1,000 of them. Setting up of a scientific board. Uh, what do you think will be the next step from your side? Of course, I'll also want to know about the 10,000 crore rupees which will be allocated over the next 5 years. How do you think the whole process is going to pan out from here?
Thank you very much, Vikas. It was such a welcome budget today because when Honorable Finance Minister started with biopharma, that itself was a great starting point. And Rajiv and me were together in many of the meetings. And when we said that she got into biopharma, it was such a big thing. Joydeep started with biopharma thing, and because you are aware, we have been talking that we should shift our focus from volume to value. And 55 products are going out of patent in biological space, $300 billion from there. So that is one. Uh, our thrust, the way we will look forward, is today if you see top 10 products in the world, they are biologicals. We are very good in small molecule space. Unless we move up the value chain, we will not go anywhere. So a beginning, I will say it is just a beginning and it is a signal that we have to get into biopharma space. So that is one very good point. I will say that the journey is long. We were ahead of China in that space, but somehow in last 10 years, we have gone 10 years behind, 10 to 15 to 20 years behind. And there is no choice for us but to get going into biopharma space. Because the whole therapy parameters are changing. We are moving from chronic to degenerative diseases. So whether we like it or not, if we have to play the game of pharma, we have to be in biological space, starting from biosimilars, then over molecules. Some of the good signs is Glenmark coming with the oncology products. Some of the Indian companies trying to buy assets around the world. Uh, Cell and gene therapy, we are doing a lot of work in this country. Vaccines, was a big space, mRNA vaccines to others. So it is an early sign, but we have to go a long way. Point number one. Big opportunity. First is biosimilar opportunity of $300 billion. Second is if we have to move into that space, clinical trials is very, very important. Again, we lost the battles in clinical trial. Although we are 18% of world population, we do only 3% of clinical trials in this country. We are diverse population. We can be the clinical trial hub for the world. And if we become clinical trial hub for the world, naturally innovation will take place. And it is a signal that 1,000 clinical trial space, very, very important point. And I think it will set the foundation for the future. And more important, the third point is the regulatory system. We today have those people who do audit, they do new drug approvals. So we will create a scientific cadre system. We'll have regulatory benchmarks which are comparable to the world. So why a Indian manufacturer who is into innovation space should go outside for clinical trial? Some of the early signs are they removed the requirement of form where you have to go for application even before undertaking innovation. That itself will save 3 months. We'll see a lot of change which is taking place. And Rajiv also alluded to it. It is not only pharma, biopharma, I will say medtech and everything will gain as far as the whole. It is the time for healthcare. India has got strategic advantage in this sector because of our demographics. And we are service oriented. So I
Sure.
think both these big things is biopharma and regulatory reforms. And then the skilling and other areas become very, very important. So I will say it is the beginning, but a lot of work which has to be done in the implementation, creation of scientific cadre, going with the speed, missionary mode. How do we get
Yeah.
it there? It is implementation now. Government has
Yeah.
done what has to be done, but
Exactly.
because the time begins now, because it is easier to allocate the fund, but how do we keep
Yes.
moving? That is very, very important. Over.
Absolutely. Yeah, now a lot will depend on how well the granular parts actually come into play. So devices part done, and Jain Saab spoke about the pharma side. I'll get in Mr. Goyal on this. The FM also spoke about medical tourism services and regional medical hubs. There is already a quite a bounce in what we see in medical tourism. A lot of flow has actually started. Not now; it's been there for some time. Do you think we are prepared to see that kind of a capacity, or do you think it will require you to put more infusion, some more capex plans coming in here?
Yeah, see, there is a lot of focus in medical tourism from beginning, and a couple of years back, also government has started, this program where medical workers are also being exported, and tourism is being encouraged into the country. But having said that, there is a lot of scope here. If you see the type of patient we are getting into the country are from the countries which are lacking these facilities, and it is not because of say value tourism. If you compare our cost of service delivery with the developed countries like Singapore, USA, it is at least 4 or 5 times more than our number. While our treatment is almost equal to those countries, we
Interesting.
have best of the class equipment, we have best of the doctors, we provide medical services. I think it is a overall ecosystem which need to be developed to get patient from other developed countries, which is the real medical tourism in my view. And that will provide lot of boost to the industry as such. Having said that, medical tourism still remain a very focus area for all the healthcare service provider, and
Right.
we'll continue to work on that.
Sure. So last in the loop, sir, your final word. Dr. Mahajan, sir, you've been on prominent industry bodies, kind of, you've been the face of the industry whenever you speak to the government. This time it really worked quite magically. What did you do?
Oh, I think all of us work together. Rajiv is there, Mr. Jain, so many others. I think this time what also worked was this high powered committee under the chairmanship of Mr. Rajiv Gauba, who heard each one of us in great depth.
Okay.
And they had representatives from all the concerned departments there, and there was a real attempt at understanding and then trying to actually put it into action. uh, as a consequence of that, we'd been talking of establishing these medical hubs, and it was surprising, actually, as Mr. Nath also said, that we spoke only 6 weeks ago, and then you see that something is in the budget. These medical value travel hubs, and that they would be holistic, they would have medical services, education, research, all together. At the same time, you have this focus on pharma, biopharma Shakti, then the process of making CDSCO come up to global standards, so that
Yes.
you get a stamp here, and then you go to every country and it says you have to get accreditation of my agency. So I think the government has been responsive at all levels, and really, if you see, even the focus on geriatric care, I mean, one is thinking ahead, because even though we have a large number of the elderly even now, but 10, 15 years down the line, it's going to be a massive number. So we have to prepare caregivers now, and it does take time. And this attempt to, have 1.5 lakh caregivers for the elderly is also a step in the right direction. Not only will they actually provide care within the country, these caregivers will also go to other parts of the world where the populations are much more, older than what we have. Then the other thing is, the focus on allied health workforce
Yes.
strengthening, where again, 1 lakh more people to be trained in
Trained.
10 very necessary disciplines: optometry, radiology, anesthesia, OT technology, and even applied psychology and behavioral health. So there is some method, even though these were, as was said, these kartavyas were in three parts, but there is something that actually joins all of them together, and it is one holistic approach. And also, I think we should talk about the 10,000 crores which has been, outlay that is there for the SMEs. That is a space
Yeah.
where both providers, small hospitals, diagnostics, medtech, lab medicine, all of them can make use of the money that's available here. So, all in all, I think all of us are pretty enthused by the words of the Honorable Finance Minister, and we hope that these things will come to place very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, sir, I think this time it looks like the bridging has been done, because previously we used to see a lot of proposals, the memorandums for budgets being given. It somehow never reflected in the budget speech. And this time it's like, in many ways, it's scattered all over the budget. I mean, just when we thought that, okay, this is getting over, and then there will be another one which will come about rare disease and cancer drugs. So it was probably, there is less for the industry to ask after this, but I'm sure there will be a lot more to follow up from our side.
Also,
Yeah.
the focus on district hospitals,
Yes.
and having a part of them focused on cancer care and trauma.
Yeah.
Our ambulance services are improving in the states, but where do they take the patient? So that also, there is, I think, a lot of coordination that has happened between multiple departments.
Absolutely. So with that, I think Pratibha, for the next round, I'll hand it over to you.
I have some specific questions. I know everybody is talking very positive here, but I have few questions which I would really want to get into the panelists. I'll go again to Dr. Harsh. Sir, the budget 2026 expands a NIPER network with 3 new institutes and upgrades 7 existing ones, right? But India has struggled in the past to translate the academic expansion into industry-ready talent. You see a 2022 CII Deloitte report on India's pharma workforce graduates per year. It is less than 15 percentage. They are immediately employable in high-tech R&D or biological manufacturing. So the NIPER and other institutes often focus on theatrical knowledge or lab-based training, I should say, but there is limited hands-on exposure. Though this has come to us, how practically this is feasible? What do you think should change to implement it in the ground level?
Pratibha, I think this is more about aspiration.
Mm.
Like Mr. Jain talked about, small molecules, and if we aspire, now I think India has reached a stage where we want to be building the best. We want to be the best. And once it is aspirational and the government has your back and there is funding that is available, not only to train but also to take this trained manpower to the next level and use them in drug discovery or in new technology, I think it can be done, and it should be done. We cannot blame the government for this. This is where I think the private sector would need to actually take over. And in pharma, I really see no real difficulty in taking. It's not even a leap; it's an incremental increase that'll happen. And once we have the talent, I'm sure we'll use to manufacture biologics, biosimilars, 300 billion worth of opportunity, as Mr. Jain said, of drugs which are going to go off patent. And also, we need to get into drug discovery. That'll only happen if we want to do it. And if within our country we have the ecosystem built for then running trials, now 1,000 centers where you can run trials, CDSU, which is brought up to the global level of excellence. I think if everything moves hand in hand, it will not just remain theoretical knowledge, it'll be used practically for benefit of the country
Okay.
and its
So,
people.
yeah. Let me go to another question on the 17 cancer drugs. Let me go to Mr. Joydeep again. So, what are your thoughts on the 17 cancer drugs and 7 drugs of rare disease? You also mentioned in the first question, they have been custom duty waived. What impact do you think the exemption of custom duty will it give for the given their high prices, like 2 to 3 lakhs, the medicines are costing? So, what kind of difference that will make for the patients, especially those from lower income groups? If you can give us kind of a data crunching here
I
again.
don't have the immediate data right now. It's only less than 2 hours since this budget has been announced. But the fact is, even last year also we had about 35 of them which were exempt from basic
Yes.
customs duty, and this year 70 more have been added. Many of them in the nature of monoclonal antibodies, many of them going off patent, some of them at least going off patent in the very near future. We see the cursory glance at the list tells me that this will be very beneficial because the disease incidence, as we discussed a little while ago in the economic survey report, also says that it's moving towards NCDs, a lot of these non-communicable diseases, and many of them for the cutting edge therapies remain out of bounds of most of the Indian patients, as well as the Indian insurance normally do not cover some of them. Yes, there are certain specific schemes for rare diseases in particular which the government has run. But overall, removing the customs duty will certainly make it more accessible, certainly make it, more available for, emergency care for patients in this part of the world. Beyond that, it will also most likely encourage, because also it is going off patent, a lot of the work to happen in this country, which means it will become even more accessible in addition to being affordable to this part of the world, and also to those medical tourists. We just now heard that many of them, the countries they come from, they probably are not the most affluent ones. So for them also, it will be serve as an attractive feature in this part of the world.
Okay. Oh, I have another question on the 1,000 accredited clinical trials. Let me go to Mr. Jain here. Sir, India is planning for 1,000 accredited clinical trial sites. So how is it strengthening the life science ecosystem? And I think the tiger is going back to the dragon, and you're visiting a lot of China now. So you have to give us how it's going to help us. So how can this initiative position India as a global hub for ethical and high quality clinical research, which is really important, and what policy or investment measures are critical to ensure faster regulatory approvals and robust infrastructure for these sites?
Thank you very much, Prashant, for this question, because this is so important question. Because Pratibha, one is that India has got the largest population in the world. India has also got the diverse population in the world. If we can make our regulatory system robust in terms of ethical guideline follow-up, data accuracy, having use of AI in clinical trials, and make this whole system robust, what we can be clinical trial destination for the world. What happens at this particular moment, because the whole process takes so much time, many of the Indian companies who are doing clinical trials, they will like to do abroad than in India. And we have been saying to all of them, like Glenn will like to do clinical trial abroad. Dr. Reddy's will like to do clinical trial abroad. But what will happen phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 clinical trial, if we can build a capability in this country, India can move forward in the innovation agenda. So what it will require to move forward, one is creating the robust centers in the country, point number one, creating strong ethical and compliance guidelines where the data integrity and data systems are maintained. That is very, very important to give the confidence to the global community that our regulatory system is robust. The setting up of the uh, scientific cadre will become very, very important. And also the experts who can examine the advanced drug, because we may not have the expertise. So we, if required, gain the expertise from abroad or get trained in those expertise, because subject expert SEC role itself will be very, very important. And then finally, can we use AI to expedite the data? Take the case of clinical trials, take the case during COVID time. We could develop the vaccine in an year's time. Can we do something in our whole clinical trial system using AI and use it specifically? Can I apply AI? In fact, we are collaborating with the IRO Indian AI Research Organization, which is being set up at Gujarat. Our focus is asking them to focus on AI. What can be AI in clinical trials? What can be done to expedite it? There is an opportunity. The path has been laid down, but it will depend on all of us to take it forward, whether it is industry, whether it is academia, whether it is IT advantage of India, and synergizing it and ethical framework. That becomes very, very important to take it forward.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Pratibha, for this question. It is so
Yeah.
important. Yes, the
I'm
path has
coming to
been
you,
laid.
Mr. Rajiv. I'm just coming to you.
Yeah.
So for you can give your comments, but my question for you is for medical device and research tools, the scale up of clinical trials sites, are they presenting both opportunity and challenge? Is it so? And how can device manufacturers support this growth while ensuring compliance with the global standards? Was my question to you. Yeah.
Okay, very appropriate, and it fits my earlier add-on answer I was going to give to Mr. Jain. Uh, it may not be known to everybody. It may be new news for many of you. UP, which has normally been a very big laggard in terms of regulatory friendliness, I would say, is now coming to be the forefront. So we've been working along with Deloitte, the pharma sector, and the UP government, led by Promote Pharma, in creating an ecosystem over there for clinical research at a global level. So there were basically three asks. One ask was that clinical investigation or evaluation or benchmarking for medical devices is very different than clinical trials for pharma. In pharma, you're doing trials and we do pivotal studies. Okay, you have phase one, phase two, phase three, and all the drug department, including ICMR heads, including DCGI, talk in that language, which is confusing for us medical device manufacturers when we are making the product and exporting globally and meeting the international regulatory requirements. So first is to make that understanding that it's different completely from pharma and a different approach. Then again, conducting it. And while conducting it, again, the issue comes of integrity of data and doing that in an ethical manner. So what UP has done differently, they have consulted the medical device companies, the colleges, uh, ICMR benchmarking, and with Promote Pharma created UP Shruti, and a SOP was created for allowing the medical device manufacturers to use these medical colleges for creating these clinical investigations and studies. And after this has been done, it's been put on a software platform called IMRAS. And this IMRAS software platform has now been put onto a website, which will now even allow the patients who are part of the clinical investigation to access their website and see their role and give any post-market feedback on any reaction or any surveillance specific issue which may be important for keeping tabs on the patients post-trial. With this kind of, I think, electronic system that is being created and digital platform that has been created, we are waiting for it to be now launched. It's going under trials right now. Once it is going to be launched, I think it's going to be path breaking and other states can follow. CDSO can follow, other states can follow. So it's been done within the existing regulatory framework without changing any regulations. But yes, this experience will now allow us. And now, recently, just last week, we heard about, I think, 10 or 12 scientists from ICMR being shifted to CDSO cadre. This inroad of engineers and scientists, which will come into CDSU as a regulatory body, is what is very important to make sure that it is having the right kind of manpower, whether engineering of scientific nature and not just of regulatory pharmacist background nature. That diversity is very important. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm like shifting from the clinical trial question to the AHPS, though Vikas has touched upon it. I want to ask a specific question to Mr. Goyal. So, Mr. Goyal, how can hospitals effectively scale operation to accommodate such a large influx of trained AHPs if they are trained properly and caregivers without straining budgets? So, how do you see this, and what innovative workforce models you think should ensure the retention and optimal utilization of such expanded healthcare workforce? Your thoughts?
Yeah, Pratibha, it is very important question for industry like us, which is highly, labor intensive, and utilization of the healthcare worker is a very important part of our entire ecosystem because the healthcare worker is in short supply. So I will say there is AI may play some role in it. We are as a company level, we are planning some initiatives where the rostering other part can be taken care by the AI. Similarly, the development part also, I feel there is a lot of role for AI in this particular thing. And there is a shortage, there is a huge attrition because at nurses, paramedic level, and the attrition is going towards developed countries and because of the maybe higher wage and other thing. So there is a continuous need for training and development of the new workforce to maintain the service standard for the hospitals.
Okay.
So it is very important initiatives and we
Yeah.
continue to work on that.
Dr. Harsh, you want to do a quick comment on it because do you see any challenges in integrating the multi-skilled caregivers into existing clinical workflows? Is there kind of
No, I
a
don't think
challenge?
there's going to be any challenge. In fact, we need so many more of them. If we are actually, what is the constraint when a hospital wants to set up, say, in a tier two, tier three? The constraint is not financial. The constraint is not that you don't have infrastructure. The constraint is you don't have skilled manpower, and that starts from the doctor, the specialist, the nurses, the technicians, and allied healthcare professionals, all are in short supply. And that's why, there is one initiative of the government, not highlighted today, but in part, that the district hospital is going to also become a medical college. And this could be in public-private partnership. And the finance minister alluded to the fact that cancer and trauma and emergency treatment would be provided, and the centers, hospitals would be upgraded. But this is also where then you can train manpower, MBBS doctors, nurses, paramedics, allied healthcare professionals, all can be trained. Because only if just consider the scenario. Why will a specialist working in a metro or a tier one city go to a tier two or tier three city? No, they don't go. And so, but someone who's learned, taught in the district hospital would tend to stay there if there is a position available there. So this will take time. It's not going to happen very quickly. But I think this is the direction we have to take if we are to actually see that healthcare professionals are available who can provide quality services in the periphery and not just be concentrated in metros and tier one, tier two cities.
Yeah. I'm giving over to you, sir. Vikas, sir, if you have
Yeah,
final.
sure. So yeah, I mean, the point that Dr. Mahajan just made actually resonates so well. In our oncology leadership summit, also we heard that finances is not just the problem; it's about the overall availability of skill sets. There are governments which have actually given CT scans which have been underutilized or probably not been utilized. So I mean, it's a much more complex issue to solve. The common myth probably is that there is a lack of funding, but I think that's not the issue. So thanks so much for that point, sir. I'll quickly go to Joydeep, sir. You mentioned about like in the last 2-3 years, we've seen a continuous plan for reduction of basic customs duty for imported drugs and a bunch of rare disease drugs also. Now, this is actually something that I haven't been able to wrap my head around on a rare disease drug today. The FM mentioned about 7 rare disease drugs, but she also put a point about personal use. So it's not if it is actually available in India on a commercial scale. So I don't know. I mean, how big a change does that make? We have seen like more than 100 comments have already come to us on our inboxes. Most of them say it is going to be beneficial because customs duties have been brought down. So even if it is on the lower level, like Pratibha mentioned, if it is 2 to 3 lakh rupees, a difference of 10% doesn't make much sense. Your thought on that? Do you think we need to really have something much more dramatic to make these major breakthrough advances more widely available?
Of course, we need to. As of now, see, unfortunately, the benefits you will see in this very intensive sector is capital intensive, not only in terms of money, but human capital intensive, very intensive in terms of scientific breakthroughs and highly regulated sector. You will find the developments will not be like one budget episodic. It will be cumulative over a lot of policy decisions, lot of budgets and all. So right now, for example, if you look at the drugs which are going off patent and combine that with things which were the already last 35 or 36 ones which came last year, some 5 from Pfizer, many of them are actually part of the patient assistance, they call it PAP,
Perhaps,
patient
yeah.
assistance programs of those like Novartis and Pfizer and Roche and so on and so forth. So it is not that the 10% reduction is the only reduction. It is the reduction in addition to all whatever that program is offering. It is also a way of trying that drug in the Indian market and making it available for in various shapes and forms. Some of them are when we're getting to some extent manufactured or supported or even research. You see Genome Valley, for example, a lot of research facilities, wet labs coming up. Specifically about the 7 rare diseases, many of them are increasing importance. For example, I just go through my notes, the seven which have come: congenital hyperinsulinemic
Yes.
hypoglycemia,
Yes.
then primary hyperoxaluria, some hereditary angioedema, many of them, primary immune deficiency disorders. These are the ones which are where more and more of NCD incidence is happening. So there must be a policy for this. But having said that, honestly, the focus must be on more value dense work, more intensifying work on complex things, that many of the Indian pharma companies are also focusing more and more on Indian generics. But do look at how that affects and helps the whole pharmaceutical chain. You'll see, for example, CDMOs, which were small 5 years, 10 years down the line, contract development and research organizations, they're going up the value chain. All this augurs well for us. We talked about the clinical testing facilities. Today, as of now, there are cases where specific drugs made in India have to be tested, for example, in a neighboring country at a prohibitive cost. All of those will come down. Very specialized facilities which require, for example, primate testing, this will come down. There's one more thing I'd like to add. We talked about the skilling part of it and whether the government incentives will help or not. Definitely it will. In addition, the way the private sector has come up in setting up specific institutes, which are recent ones, Sudarshanji, under your able leadership, where for specifically enhancing pharmaceutical manufacturing quality and efficacy in India. This is where the private sector also stepping in, obviously encouraged by the impact of the incentives and the favorable policy measure, as well as right now, whether we like it or not, or whether we appreciate it or not, we are in a very nice macroeconomic situation. Bank assets are the NPAs at the lowest level. We are at a very pretty stable situation. Inflation is very much under control. Yeah, rupee falling is okay, understand. But the point is the ripe environment for making all the right investments for more and more complex, more and more value dense work in the particularly in the pharmaceutical industry. And I think the industry well recognizes that and gearing up towards that.
Sure. Okay, so just a bit of a gear shift, and I'll again go to Jain Saab. Sir, so I mean, now this is definitely getting very nicely noticed that there is a very clear push for regulatory reforms. Rajiv Nath sir spoke about ICMR people also moving to the CDSCO side. So a lot of the proposals are being heard. Where we used to see SEC actually giving approvals, taking time, 3 months, 6 months, or probably not even having a clear time frame. Do you think those parts are also will get sorted soon? We will have clarity. The way we see in China, within 30 days, you get an approval for clinical trials, or even less. They have been extensively using AI, as you also mentioned before. Do you think those ground level changes are also going to be seen soon enough?
Because I will say that there's a lot of awareness and there's
Right,
a lot of consciousness that we
right,
have to move forward. And that's why we are seeing these changes in the budget coming in. So both Dr. Mahajan highlighted it, Rajiv highlighted it, Jay
hmm,
highlighted,
hmm,
and Vivek, all of us have been highlighting that there is an awareness and the government is listening, which is a great, great point, and there is a movement towards action.
right,
Now the question, maybe just to give the idea, like say previously SEC used to be held, say once in 3 months. Now three meetings are held every year, every month. Three
right,
SEC meetings held every month. However, what we need to do is the capability, increase of capability of those who are joining the SEC.
right,
We have to be able to give money to get experts in SEC. So
right,
those kind of things will happen, and regulatory reforms in specific terms, and maybe what areas which are very very important. One is the SEC overall functioning of SEC, which becomes important. Getting
right.
experts become very very important. Digital systems become very important. The point which you are saying,
Uh,
instead of going everyone to that CDSU office, I should know the
right,
status of application where I am and where I'm. Like say for income tax, we don't have to go anywhere today. So same kind of thing which has to take place, and AI intervention. I see that there is a consciousness now. There is a budget, and there is a follow up on the whole thing, and
right,
but it will take time because
right.
given the whole process, it will take 3 to 5 years time to get it going. I will also add here that we should become the member of ICH, International
Yeah,
Committee
I
on
was,
Harmonization.
yes.
Because
So,
unless we have those processes, Vikas,
right.
to standard and gain
Yeah.
it.
Right.
So ICH, if we want to become the member, it will take 2 to 3 years time. If we want to become the member of PIC, it will take around 5 to 6 years time.
Right.
So I think the government will start working on those agendas to move forward. It is just a signal today that we have to move forward, which is a very positive development.
Right. Also, sir,
I'll
I'd
add
like
one
to
more
know from you
sentence
about.
if you don't mind, because I'll just one more
Yeah.
sentence to what Sudarshan ji said.
Huh.
Particularly for medical devices, look how we are progressing. In 2024 October, CDSCO officially became an affiliate member of the International Medical Device Regulators Forum. So, which means we have
Yes.
direct access to how the device is regulated. See, you have to put it in this context of just putting down tariff barriers. Like we have just got the access to two of the largest markets in the world, all of rather one of the largest markets, which is all of EU. It doesn't
Right.
mean just because tariffs are reduced that our products will be. We have to demonstrate quality, we have to demonstrate commitment, we have to demonstrate lower input cost, more efficiency. So we have, on the one hand, we have a lot of opportunities. On the other hand, we have multiple regulators. We have, some sort of difficulties in getting the regulation approved quickly or application approved quickly. So we have to work on all of that stuff. But overall, the push is all going to the right direction from market access on one side, which is probably not part of the budget, but which already happened a few days back, all of you know, and also all enabling policy measures in place and the industry associations and industry playing ball with it. Those all of these things going together, triangulating together is what makes us so positive.
Perfect. One quick question, and then we will quickly go to the wrap up point. Jensab, do you think the 1,000 accredited clinical trials part? I think. Do you think this probably will be the boost for clinical trials? It kind of became a little slowed down following the 2012 court decisions that we saw. Is this probably a kind of a awakening of a sleeping giant?
Absolutely, Vikas. This signal, and maybe if we get going with the reforms in the clinical trial system, it will add synergy to the whole process. And the third is AI usage. So we should become the benchmark. So combination of AI, combination of physical infrastructure, and also reforms that should synergize three areas to move forward. Even if we can set up the goal that we do around 3% of clinical trial in the world, can we
Yes.
move to around 6 to 7% in next 3 years' time? That
Right.
itself will be a big goal. And what we need to do, Vikas, now is set up the implementation framework and measurement framework to go
Perfect.
forward, because that will be important. Yeah, over to you.
Absolutely. Sir, you also kind of gave the wrap up part from your side. So I'll also now include the others in our panel. Dr. Mahajan, you want to go first? You have
Sure.
a
I think,
30-second challenge.
I mean, you've heard all the stalwarts here speak, and everyone is very hopeful. So, this budget is one of hope and also, of continuity from where we were and aspirational all at the same time. And we hope that we live up to what is expected from us as the healthcare industry.
Amazing. Perfect. Uh, Rajita, sir, your turn.
The market access FTS definitely are very important, but they also mean that we can only take advantage of them if we are globally competitive. And just now, Mr. Joydeep rightly mentioned that the key to that is not going to be tariff excess, it's going to be overcoming the non-tariff barriers and the regulatory barriers. And for that, we need to talk in their language. We need to bring in mutual recognition agreements like USA has with Europe, Australia has with Europe. Similarly, India needs to be talking that language. Can be done only on the basis of ISO standards. We set in the ICMET certification, Quality Council of India. So manufacturers of India can now show globally that they are accredited by the ILAC system in ISO accredited laboratories to ISO standards. System is in place. We need to incentivize the system in India so more manufacturers are able to use that in India. We can only use it globally if internally this is going to be recognized. So we should not treat it as internal competition between BIS and ISO. It needs to be taken as complementary, and we need to become more aspirational and more globally competitive. The budget is permitting us to earn that trust, go for voluntary systems, go for less compliances by mandatory systems. Let us earn that trust. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Vivek sir, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Vikas. And I think other panelists has covered, but this is a golden opportunity for in the industry where we are in, and healthcare, particularly hospital sector, where the supply side is less than the demand, and demand is growing every day. So there, this type of boost to the sector will be is needed, and I think we all work together to meet this growing demand for healthcare.
Wonderful. Joining sir, yours is the last say again.
Yeah, last man batting.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I think this budget has been very encouraging, very inspiring, particularly promoting pharma manufacturing, skill building, enhancing quality, availability of care, positioning countries in attractive medical tourism destination, positioning ourselves further strongly in the global markets as well in a variety of measures. But only probably little to one or two things I would have loved to see here in the budget. Maybe we'll see in the fine print later on or going forward is some more incentives for increasing R&D in this country. It's still the investment still lags, and that is a very necessary condition for going into more and more value dense, complex therapeutic areas. And the second thing would be if there would be some way of rationalizing these multiple regulators across states and the center, and both for devices as well as for drugs, together into fewer agencies with much more predictability, stability, and agility. I think that would be the icing on the cake, and then we'll be on our way pretty much.
Yeah, as they say, something we need to leave so that it gets better next time. So wonderful. Pratibha?
Yeah. I'm finally wrapping. Yeah, your healthcare. We have seen speakers saying it's encouraging, aspiring, golden opportunity. Budget of continuity. Policy remains consistent. These are the few takeaways we have got. We are all happy, smiling, but still we have to go and crunch those numbers, and we have to see how much is being executed. We'll keep tracking, and we'll be coming back to the experts here and follow up with you all. So thanks a lot for coming in and joining in such a short time, giving your views. Only few hours after what the FM had said, you've given your thoughts. Good, nice to see. Right now, it's nice, but let's get into the details, and maybe we'll come back to you all again to talk about the nuts and bolts, how it has worked. Yeah, thank you so much to each of the
Yeah.
experts over here. Thank you.